the terraform from very zero. So terraform is a software, is a tool that you can install in almost any of the operating system like Windows, Linux, Mac, and something like this. In my case, I'm going to install in the top of Windows. Okay, and this tool give you a power for infrastructure as code. Okay, so you have the infrastructure and you want your entire infrastructure managed by code. Okay, managed by the code. Okay, then we can use Terraform. Very high level definition, or I can say the use of Terraform, but I will go more deep from very basic. Okay, what I mean by infrastructure code. So let me start the story from very zero. Obviously, by this line, you might not understand actually meaning, plus might not able to understand the actual use of it. So, so let me take the this story from very zero. So just think in this way, guys. Right? Maybe you are might not be a IT professionals. You're maybe you working on a laptop, or maybe you're IT professionals. You have some servers, or in the company you have the data center and something like this, right? So the final need, okay, why we want our computers, okay, final need is, guys, we have the app, we have the program, we have the software, we want to run our software, we want to execute our software, or we want to like to deploy our apps. This is called run our apps. That is the final motto. Okay, that's the only reason, that is the only reason I can say reason why we need our laptops or server. When I say laptop server, I normally mean to say why I need RAM, why I need CPU, why I need hard disk storage, why I need network devices. Okay, or maybe I have multiple computers, so why I need switches, switch devices. Maybe I want to connect to other network, why I need routers, why I need security firewalls. Okay, like this, tons of different devices we have. All these devices have a different role. Okay, but all these devices connect together, and wherever we put those devices in some physical area, that is known as your data center. And like this, there's hundreds more things maybe possible. A final motto why we need this bigger huge data center, right, that your company might have or you will have, right, is the only motto is to run our app or manage our app. When I say app, it also contain the databases and other things also. Okay, or data also obviously with this. So that is the only motto. Okay, so it means if you want to run your app or deploy your app, you need the entire data center. Or I can say, I can use one more term here, you need this entire physical devices, that is known as your infra or infrastructure. Okay, so without having the infrastructure maybe is very small, the way I have right now. For example, I have only one laptop, for example. This is also one of my infrastructure. Okay, or the infrastructure would be your data center. Okay, or we have a multiple way to get and have our infrastructure, right? So there's a multiple way to have the infrastructure. So one of the way to have the infrastructure would be I can use a tools or the technology called virtualization, right? So with the help of virtualization, we can have our infrastructure, or I can say we can manage our infrastructure, because having the infrastructure is not only enough. I want to manage it. Manage means I want to have 1 GB RAM, 1 CPU, 110 GB hard disk, and by this I can create one. On the top of this, I can solve one operating system. It's called virtual. Okay, so virtualization is one of the way through which we can get our infrastructure or manage our infrastructure in some way, right? For example, one of the tool on the virtualization would be VMware, or maybe other tools also available in the market. Okay, but in this case, this infrastructure, what I'm talking about, is managed and owned by you. You should have your own physical devices infrastructure that is managed by your VMware company or kind of tool. Okay, this is called virtualization tool. Okay, I can say that it's called your own premises, right? You should have, you have to manage this, or you have to buy this, or you have to own this. Or Other way would be, right, instead of virtualization, this would be, I don't say older, it is there, powerful, no doubt. But if you want to have a pretty look more like a cloud, so you can also do one more thing. You can also have your own infrastructure on premises managed by you. That's called your own data center. It's also the one term you can use, and where you can rather than directly use this virtualization tool, you can on the top of this you can run some kind of your own personal, that's called private cloud applications, right? You can create your own private cloud, right? Private means your own cloud on your data center, on your premises. This is called private cloud, and through which you can manage your infrastructure, right? So one of the example of the private cloud may be cloud stack, or maybe OpenStack is one of the powerful example we have. So with the help of OpenStack, you can create your own personal cloud, that I can say. But the motto is, with the help of OpenStack, what I can do, I can manage my entire physical devices, I can manage my entire data center, I can manage my data center, and on the top of this, with the help of OpenStack, I can go and say, can you please, I want to launch my app, so can you please provide me respective devices or the operating system. So I can get some RAM, CPU, hard disk, and get some switches, some part of routers, some bandwidth, some firewall setups, and then connecting these pieces together, I will finally launch my app with the help of my private cloud. Okay. Or the other way would be, rather than you own your infrastructure, right? You can say you can outsource those things without buying your hardware and managing your own physical devices by your own personals, right? You can go public. That's called public clouds. Everything is managed by somebody else. And multiple example you guys have on public cloud: AWS cloud, Azure by Microsoft, GCP by Google, and some more cloud we have. But these are top 3 clouds we have in the market. Okay, almost everything is same. The only difference is be managed by other company. You, for example, I am belongs to Linux, so you don't have to manage this. Some other company like Amazon gonna manage this cloud for you. So okay, and they are the one who provide their devices and their infrastructure for you. So you can ask with the help of their cloud what things you want, and what devices you want, and how you want to connect these pieces together. Pieces together, and so that you can launch your app. Just for example perspective, very quickly, I'm just giving a very quick example of AWS cloud. So in the AWS cloud, if you want to have RAM and CPU, why I want RAM and CPU? Because with this I can have my basic compute devices ready, and on the top of RAM and CPU we can run our operating system. So for this, AWS say, I have one service that will give you RAM and CPU to use, called EC2. But if you want to install the operating system, you also need the hard disk to store data, and to install operating system, you need hard disk, right? And for the hard disk, they say we have one more service called EBS, through which we can provide a hard disk to you. But you might need some kind of extra firewalls, network devices, router, switches, and lots of more network settings you want to perform, right? Maybe VPN, something like this. So they have one service called VPC, through which you can get some network setting. Like this, depend as you progress, you need more and more devices and more different things, right? And almost these cloud had a different services or the component, right, through which you will get all those facility what you're looking for. Okay, only different would be you here, we as users, okay, we have to ask these guys, and these guys give you these devices, or these, they're typically known as resources. The resources, RAM, CPU, hard disk, they are resources. With the help of their some kind of services, this is known as services. Okay, we have to ask them. Only thing is, they give you very simple way to provide this, and we as a user or a client, we can use it very simply. Okay, and beautiful thing is, they are managing, they are buying. You don't have to worry about, you have to pay the fee per hour, per day, per month basis. Okay, depend what the pricing model is. When the private cloud, again same thing, they have, but only thing is, for example, if you go to AWS, the service name is EC2. But if you go to OpenStack as a private cloud, okay, almost same. Everything is exactly same with in RAM and CPU. If you want to have this for compute, you don't have to. There's a service name is different, right? Product name, component name is different. For example, in OpenStack, instead of EC2, the service name in the OpenStack is called Nova, for example. When for hard disk, instead of EBS, we have a service name called Cinder in OpenStack world, right? In networking, instead of VPC, in OpenStack world, this service name is called, past it was Quantum, now it has become Neutron. Okay? This is in the OpenStack world. Okay, different service. Same way, if you go to Azure, they have a different name. GCP, we have a different name. Every cloud, we have a different service, but the final motto is the same. What we're looking for, what is the resource we're looking for, the same. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you guys here is, finally, I'm just slowly coming to the Terraform. I'm setting one basic context. Those who by then don't know these names, I'm just giving this name just for quick reference in the future discussion, right? So just keep this thing in the mind that I want to run and deploy my app, and I need infrastructure, and there's a multiple way to get the infrastructure from the virtualization world, like for example VMware, or your private cloud like OpenStack, public cloud like this, even though there's some more way available to get the infrastructure. Because if the motto is app deployment, if this is the only motto, okay, we can go for other way also, and that other way is called containerization platform, container platforms. Okay, where those who don't know, container is something like this. We have the app, and for launching the app, I need one operating system, RAM, CPU, operating system, and some more thing. Okay, this environment or this operating system we can launch within a second. For example, this concept is called container. Okay, and one of a lot of tool available in the market. One of the tool you guys might know is called Docker. I can just giving you very quickly. Otherwise, you guys might know. Otherwise, you guys can learn the Docker. I have one complete training on Docker in YouTube. This clip called freely available. You guys go and learn from there about Docker if you want to learn. Okay, so this is one thing. So container platform available, and a lot of container platform available in the market. Okay, one of the famous one is the Docker. Nowadays, the most famous platform in the market that work on the top of Docker also, and other container tools also like Kubernetes. Or one more great platform is called OpenShift by the Red Hat, like this, much more. Okay, so the final motto, if you just rather than just look on those name and the facility, other things, right? The final motto of any of this platform or tools is we have the app, and for this app, I need RAM, CPU, hard disk, network, security, plus more things, load balancers, hundreds more things, right? So I need all these things for the app. Does Kubernetes, can you provide me? Answer is yes. Kubernetes just come to me and tell me, do you need load balancer? You want any security? You want any kind of storage? I will provide everything for you. So this is also one of the way. So typically there's three main, apart from bare metal means directly store the things on the laptop, right? And then on the top of this run your app. There's a different point, but apart from this, there's three different way available in the market that give a platform to you or to run your app. One is the virtualization way, one is the virtualization way or virtualization kind of platform. Okay, one is the cloud way, cloud platform. It may be private, public, but it's a cloud. And third way is the container platform. But if you go to any of the platform, this platform is going to help you to run your app, or I can say this platform is going to help you to give the entire infrastructure. What are this? I explained to you already. Infrastructure, all this platform. Okay, this is one thing. Now, So if you have huge number of platform, which one to choose, which one not to choose, is all depend upon the decision of your management and your team. Okay. So should I use AWS public cloud, or should I use Azure cloud, or should I use OpenStack? Okay, or maybe I can use Kubernetes. Which one to choose? Okay, that is a maybe the big challenge. Okay, or maybe your company might be using AWS, or maybe using Azure, and maybe they're working on the virtualization world like VMware and something like this, right? Or Hyper-V and other platform also. But which one to choose is all the debatable topic most of the time. But nowadays things is mostly very clear. Okay, one of the criteria of choosing which platform to use, one of the criteria, there's very multiple criteria also, but let me stick with one criteria, which platform to you choose for the infrastructure. Okay, is mostly based on the cost. Who is giving me a lesser cost? Simple, right? Because I'm talking more of the public cloud perspective. So if I do something on AWS, how much they are charging? I'm doing something on the Azure, how much they are charging. Okay. So what you will find in some cases, or I can say in most of the cases, AWS charging is very high as compared to Azure. Okay. For example, okay, if you launch a Windows operating system or Windows server, okay, on the top of Azure, Microsoft Cloud, same Windows server, same version with same license, if you launch on AWS cloud. Okay, so in AWS, the charge is 5 times more. I'm talking only this example. Okay, 5 times more than the Azure. It means Azure is very cost effective, right? And lesser cost than the AWS, 5 times, not small, 5 times cost they have in this example. Okay, in some example, 1%, 1 times, or some of the example they're equal. Sometimes maybe in some of the example, Azure maybe higher in price. Okay, but cost is not the only, maybe not only the one criteria. My reliability also one of the bigger criteria. It is not like this something we are launching in Azure and they are not giving a better reliability. Sometimes they goes down. There's concept called availability. Sometimes I put my data become deleted. This called durability. They might not give it. So let's say in most of the cases, the reliability of AWS cloud is more than the Azure. I'm just taking as this part again as a random example. Okay, so which one to use? So if you want to save the cost, you want to go for Azure, or you want to go for more reliability, availability, durability, right? Better services, I can say, and support, more power, more feature. You guys might go to AWS cloud. So which one to choose? So depend upon this and some more criteria. Again, this is not a proper cloud class. I'm just giving this information. Why? Because these guys are very much connected with the Terraform. If you don't know this, working on the Terraform doesn't make good sense. Even though guys start writing the code in the Terraform, thing will work, practical done. But finally, after the training completed, this doesn't make any sense in the case why we are using Terraform. Okay, so that's what I'm just setting this context. So slowly we will come and see the power of Terraform. Okay, so which one to choose? So depend upon the criteria, but nowadays our customers are very intelligent. Okay, customers of this cloud guys, right? They're very intelligent. What they do, they say let's use both the cloud. Let's use AWS also, and let's use Azure also. Maybe let's also use GCP cloud also together. Okay, and this concept guys is called multi-cloud. So now the world guys is all about multi-cloud. Almost all the better great infrastructure I've seen, I have implemented, we have tested multi-cloud setup. Okay, what it do? I did very simple. So just I'm just giving you one example. Let's say my developer is developing the code. So that's just they're working on the environment called dev environment. That's my company Intel environment, and we have applications running in to the real world. That's my real client is connected. It's called production environment. So from the internet, my guys are connected. Okay, so I want anybody connect to the internet, I want to show my better reliability there. So app that is running on the person that need more reliability. Okay, apps things running on dev moment doesn't need any reliability. If something is down, something is deleted, that's maybe okay. Okay, so what can we do? So our production environment we can run in a AWS cloud because they give better reliability. Okay, but they have more cost. That's okay. But for saving our things or our money, we can launch my dev environment, let's say in the Azure. I'm not saying every time they are less. In most of the cases, they are less in the terms of cost. But yeah, this is not the multi-cloud class discussion, but I'm giving this information here very quickly. Okay, or maybe some part, maybe doesn't make sense always, but yeah, maybe some part, let's say my testing part. Okay, or let's say I want to have some machine learning related things to test, right? Machine learning related. So there the GCP Google Cloud is great to have the machine learning, deep learning kind of test and implement as a part. So we use Google Cloud there. Multi-cloud we can use. Okay, so we can use the multi-cloud in this scenario. But there's some scenario where we might have to use in the multi-cloud, guys, all the cloud is public, right? Every cloud public is owned by some other companies and you are using it, then it's called multi-cloud. Okay, but there might be one scenario where I want to use for some of the case I want to use OpenStack as again a cloud, but that's come into the category of private cloud, and maybe I want to use AWS for the public. One of the very typical use case for this, so if I have a banking company or some financial company, we have some regulatory, we have some kind of compliance and constraint that says that all this kind of data, financial data, you can't put in the public cloud by in other companies. Those data you have to manage in your own personal data center and hard disk. Okay, or on premises, I can say. So you have to keep your data in your own private world. Now, how you want to manage that will be your choice. In the private world, you can use OpenStack to manage as a private cloud. Okay, but I have some kind of storage that would be there only in the private world, but your app can be run in the public. Okay, so any client come, they hit to your app, there's a program that can be run in the public cloud, public world. But your final data of the customer would be finally synced and stored only in your personal private data center. Okay, that can be done, managed by either your virtualization tool like a VMware, or maybe you want to have a cloud look and feel kind of tool, management simple, then you can go for OpenStack kind of tool. Okay, then you can use for the private world. Private means on the center. So for one complete app, if you want to run, this kind of setup can be, most of the cases very much makes sense. Okay, and the guys, this setup is called hybrid cloud, where we have private plus public, all those connect together. And other cases also we might have as use cases, but this is also one of the cloud setup we can have. So my point, guys, here is, right, my point here is today we are into the world of multi-cloud. Today we are in the world of hybrid cloud. Today we are in the world of where maybe on the top of AWS, my app is not actually running on the AWS. Maybe on the top of AWS, we might launch Kubernetes, and there we're going to launch that. Okay, so technically if you talk about AWS, what they're providing you the entire infrastructure. Okay, that is known as IaaS, infrastructure as a service, RAM, CPU, network device, and other things. And what Kubernetes provide you, they only give you a container platform that is called container as a service, sometimes also known as platform as a service. What I want to say, same thing, almost same. Okay, so they provide you this thing. So app is running there. So maybe your setup would be infrastructure with the PaaS platform together, then we runs that. So it would be any kind of connection, any kind of complex, non-complex, right, kind of setup you have. Now, where the Terraform fit here? So if you want to understand the power of Terraform, you just keep one thing in the mind, that you need public, or so you need multi-cloud. If you have this thing in the mind, then you can understand actually the power of for understanding, you can actually understand the power of multi-cloud, or you might have a hybrid cloud setup. We have private cloud, public cloud, or maybe on the top of public, we have Kubernetes or kind of tools also, okay, running over there. Okay, so if you keep this thing in the mind, then you can understand the power of Terraform. Now, what is Terraform? So what is infrastructure? You guys now understood, okay, or what kind of different kind of infrastructure can be possible. But what is Terraform? So Terraform is infrastructure as code. Now, to understand Terraform, you need to understand one more thing, keyword called code. What exactly code is? To explain this concept, I want to again take one more small story as the basic story to make you understand. So if you use any platform or any infrastructure kind of platform, right, like AWS Cloud, OpenStack, Kubernetes, all the things, all this, let me take one example, AWS Cloud, for example, as a specific example. So if you want to interact with this platform as a final user or the client, they give you three ways. One, you can open their website, that's called web UI. So anybody who have the AWS Cloud, the web UI look like this. Okay, so even though guys, we have shared the video in your learning portal where I explain you how to create the account in AWS, plus how to do some basic thing in the AWS Cloud. Okay, so you guys, I think you have the AWS account, because in today's class, we're going to need this. Okay, if you don't have, don't worry, just look at the practicals, okay, and the concept that may give you a lot of examples and the meanings, right? But yeah, this is the AWS Cloud page or portal. So if you want to work something on this, you can have this kind of web UI to work on. Or AWS also give you a command line, CLI, where I can open my command prompt and we have some AWS command and do something. Okay, and from the command line also we can do something on the AWS Cloud. And third way, they give you API, where you can ask your developer, your mobile developers or your web app developers, they can create beautiful mobile apps or the website, okay, and your own website, and through which you click the button, finally it go to AWS and launch the settings and systems there. Okay, so that's also one of the possible way. Okay, the three way we can interact with the AWS platform. all these three way, the way we interact with the AWS cloud or any other cloud, okay, they are very much, I can say, monotonous, okay, or not as such very intelligent, very much harder in terms of management. Okay, what I mean by this, for example, if you talk about CLI perspective, okay, so what we have to do, you tell AWS, I want to connect with you and I would like to use EC2 instances, and these are steps I want to tell you how to what I need, and then enter, and then my EC2 instance in AWS will launch. Means I can launch my AWS one operating system on the top of AWS by the service called EC2. Okay, so this is one thing. So it is more look like a scripted approach, older approach. Scripted means, okay, you just tell what you want to do, okay, what you want to do and how to do. It's two things you tell. What I want this instance to be launched, and how these are the options, and these are the steps I want to perform it. What and how you have to write. Okay, this is called a scripted approach, and it is also sometimes known as imperative approach. Imperative approach. Older approach, I can say. Okay, so it means those who don't know much about AWS, their services, their all the options, plus the scripting kind of language, maybe sometime in I'm talking about CLI, it won't work. Okay, but yeah, good thing is, okay, if you, again, one more thing, guys, if you want to launch the app, okay, only EC2 service is not the only thing, right? The way I explained to you. So launching the app, you need these many things together. You need multiple services, EC2, EBA, VPS, VPC, many more. Okay, So only EC2 is not enough in the real world or launching any app. Multiple thing to do. So it means if my plan is to launch an app, okay, I have to run the commands one after another. First command, second command, one command for EC2. Next command, I say, AWS, can you go to launch EBS hard disk? Then AWS, can you go to VPC? And again, VPC, there's hundreds of different things to do, right? Those who know VPC, we have a net gateway, we have a internet gate, we have a subnet, we have VPC, we have hundreds more things to connect and do. Okay. So what can we do rather than we write this one command, second command, third command? Okay, we can put all the command in one file, and this file becomes script. And we run this script, just one click, entire setup can be done. And this script normally known as a program file. And in the program file, the way we write the script, every line program file, every line is combined together, known as code. Okay, so the one way, okay, to have the entire infrastructure ready for app deployment is by put all the command in one file. This is called script, and then run the script as a normal code. Okay, what you achieve finally, you achieve automation. Because nowadays, guys, the world is all about automation. So wherever you can achieve the automation, we want to go there. And the only way to achieve automation, the only way, any of the tool you use, only way to achieve the automation is with the help of code. Without code, you won't get and achieve the automation. And automation means I don't want any manual thing. I don't want to click to AWS cloud and run something. I don't want to type any command now onward to do our things manually. Okay, if you want automation, what is use of automation, you guys know, one click, entire setup will be done. Okay, and thing to be done very, very fastly. That's what we need in the today's world of automation. Okay, or agile world or DevOps world, maybe I can say. So in AWS, okay, with the help of CLI, we can create a code, and with the help of code, we can do the automation. The only challenge in writing this code is they are very much older kind of way or to manage, or it's very imperative way. Means here I have to tell what to do and how to do. So if you don't know how to write this command, if you don't know what this service is doing for you, right, how to use this. So without knowing this concept, writing the code is impossible. Okay, so we have one more approach that normally your cloud provider will provide. Okay, one more approach they provide to interact with their services. Okay, that is known as again automate your things. What I mean by automate, guys, I don't want to click here. Without clicking, my instance launch, hard disk connected, load balancer connected, created, everything's connected together, and entire setup can be done. Okay, so there's one more way to perform what your normal cloud provider will give to you, cloud guys give to you, is there's one more thing. Cloud platform sometimes also known as providers. So their service provider are also known as the cloud providers, because they're giving a cloud services. So when I use the word cloud provider, it means the same thing I'm talking about. But in the Terraform, this kind of term we're going to use a lot. Provider, service provider, cloud service provider, something like this. Okay, so one more way they give you, where again they give you AWS, for example, if take the specific example AWS, they give you a automation capability where we can write the code. Okay, but this automation is a little bit more intelligence. Okay, and they use a concept called declarative approach, not the imperative, is an older kind of approach, I can say, or typical approach. Okay, declarative approach they use. Okay, one more declarative. Here you have to tell what to do, kind of thing. It means I can tell my AWS that I want EC2 instance to be launched. That's all. With this is the capabilities. Okay, I don't have to worry about more programming construct. Something like this. Just check if this instance is not there, then install it. If it's there, don't do. Okay, something like this. So you don't have to write a pro, for example, if you go for self-scripting, you write all those concepts, what to do, how to check, right? All the programming construct you have to write in the topical imperative approach, older approach or scripted approach. By a declarative approach, you don't have to worry about it. You tell your requirement, I want this. And so now it is duty of the AWS or that kind of tool, what I'm going to tell you in a minute. It's called declarative kind of tool. Okay, this is their duty. They will get this time, these things done for you. Okay, they get the thing done for you. Okay, so for example, if I say I want my EC2 instance to be long, they go and check if the system is there, what I'm looking for. They don't do anything because what I'm looking for is there already. But it's not there, they will get it done for you. Okay, so you don't have to tell how to do. You just tell I want this. It is more like this. I say it is more like this, that I am the manager and AWS is my team member, and I instruct my team member, I want this thing to be done, and they will get it done for me. I don't have to worry much about how they're going to do. Okay, it's called what to do kind of approach. It's called declarative approach. Okay, so this is also one of the facility your cloud provider provide you only when you want automation, and typically you always want automation. Okay, so by this approach of declarative, we can write a code, or I can say the declarative code, and to make my thing automated. Okay, so if you talk about AWS perspective, so in AWS we have a tool called, given by AWS, is called CloudFormation. So CloudFormation is a tool, okay, through which we can create a code that we give a proper capability of declarative as declarative kind of concept by this kind of service. So this is one service in AWS, is one tool, means one service we have is called Cloud Formation, through which we can create and manage the resources with a template. Template means a kind of code. Okay, we can do it. And it is not AWS, right? We have this tool available in almost all the cloud very quickly, even though it's not so much required, but very quickly. If you talk about AWS, then they have a tool called CF, Cloud Formation. If you go to Azure, again, they have a same kind of tool for automation. This is called Azure Resource Manager. It's a tool in Azure. Those who know, they have this kind of tool. Okay, if you go to GCP Cloud, okay, I think they have a tool called Deployment Manager. And if you go to OpenStack, we have a tool called Heat, a service or tool, Heat. Everyone has this. So my point here is, okay, I want automation, okay, of what? Okay, of launching my RAM, having my RAM and CPU, creating my hard disk, connect my hard disk, set up the network. I want this entire infrastructure to be automated. Okay, so if you want infrastructure to be automated, only way to automate is the code. So what I want, my infrastructure is to be automated. And how can you automate? Infrastructure, okay, with the help of code only. And guys, this concept is known as called infrastructure as code. If you can create your entire infrastructure as a code, then it's called, or managed by the code, is called infrastructure as a code. Okay, one of the benefit you achieve is the automation. This is one of the benefits. Otherwise, there's much more benefit as we progress. We'll see. Okay, by achieving this. And to achieve infrastructure code, does AWS has that tool? Yes, CF. This guy has the on. This guy has the on. This guy has the on. By this, you can manage the infrastructure as a code. Okay, guys. One more beautiful thing about the infrastructure code is, okay, those who ever work on AWS cloud, is very harder to manage things. So I will launch EC2 here. Then I go to my S3 services for creating the storage. Okay, and then I create some S3 storage here. Then I go to my databases. I go to my VPC. I go to other service. Multiple pieces here and there I create. Okay, manually, right? I create here, and then I connect these pieces together. Okay, now let's say I'm doing some testing, okay, for my app, and I've connected all the pieces together, and now I do a lot of quick check, test, a lot of things I keep on changing, and finally I make my infrastructure very mature. Okay, but I'm maturing my infrastructure in my account. But this infrastructure is going to use by other team or maybe my production environment. So how can I share this entire infrastructure what I created here to other team? It won't possible, right? Because everything is done manually. Anything done manually, you can't provide to anyone. Okay, or maybe I have a requirement. All the component I connected here, I have to delete it. Only way to delete is to go back and delete every pieces one by one. And sometimes when you try to delete, it won't work because one component and one service depend on other because we are connected. So you just go back at the reverse engineer and every time just check who is dependent, accordingly you start deleting. So management of the manual thing maybe with the help of GUI or the command line is very, very hard. Okay, and that is also one of the use case. Okay, a use case where we need have a code will be managed. My entire infrastructure is going as a code. It's very important in the terms of management of your services also. Okay, automation obviously we want, but management also we have. And one more thing, because everything is now as a code, code is like a file, right? I can share my entire file to other team member and their account they will go and they run it. When they run the exactly same, my mature infrastructure they will also have and they can leverage the infrastructure that I create. So coding or infrastructure code through which I can share my, it's so interesting guys here. I'm sharing, till now we are sharing the app, right? Or code or website or mobile app or something like this. Now we are sharing the entire infrastructure. Why? Because infrastructure is code. So entire infrastructure I can share to my other team members and they can click and launch the same setup, exactly same setup. That can also possible. So there's a lot of benefit, automation, management, sharing of the infrastructure. Only it is possible if we have the infrastructure as a code. Now there's two ways to have the infrastructure as a code. One is this imperative older way or the declarative newer way. Is something I normally use the word called intelligence way, right? Intelligence kind of way. Where because I have to tell what to do, how to do, they know it well. Okay, there's two ways to achieve. So typically, obviously, you guys know, you might get to know that is we are going to use declarative approach. The point here is finally, okay, if you have if you want infrastructure as a code, why? These are the benefit we have, and maybe much more benefit, but these are main benefit we have. So every cloud platform has their own tool. Okay, so why we are saying that Terraform is also infrastructure code and we want to use Terraform. Now, what is the use of Terraform? Now, what is IAC? You understood infrastructure code for automation and for sharing the infrastructure here and there, right? Terraform is also one of the tool for IAC. Even though if I go to Terraform site, Terraform guys is created by a company called HashiCorp. Is a company name who created Terraform. So Terraform also giving you infrastructure as code. That's what also Terraform is giving to us. Okay, for what? Same concept. Okay, to manage code or manage network infrastructure to automation things. So just try to understand. In a minute we'll see about these use cases also. But this is what the Terraform is giving, the mainline infrastructure code. The point here is, if Terraform is giving infrastructure code and this already exists in our current existing cloud or the platform, okay, or maybe VMware also have their own way to create infrastructure code in their tools. Okay, so why we need Terraform? Okay, because okay, if you have these kind of use cases, which use cases? These use cases, multi-cloud, okay, hybrid cloud. So if you think your company is only going to use AWS, okay, AWS, and you want automation, so we explained to you means you want infrastructure code, and this is the only requirement you have current and future. If you have future plan for 5 and 10 future plan, then sticking with their respective tool is always the great advice that I can give to you. Okay, go for CloudFormation, because CloudFormation is an inbuilt tool. They have more mature. Any new thing come in the AWS, always they will give a very quickly support in the cloud formation to automate. Any new changes happen, cloud formation they support. There is an inbuilt tool of AWS. Okay, so if you have requirement only to use AWS or only to use Azure, go for their respective tool. That I can give as a information here. But if you think you're using multi or hybrid cloud or going to use in the future, okay, means you want to use AWS and Azure. So what your company can do, either your company will build a team A only for AWS, team B only for Azure, team C only for OpenStack, because there's a big cloud, multiple services they have. The service uses same, but they have a different command names, services name, different APIs, different keyword, different kind of code if you want to write. Like it's very different. Okay, so we have a different dedicated team only for AWS, only for Azure, only for OpenStack for the infrastructure as a code, so that they can be mature enough in their respective services. So again, your company has to invest huge amount in the team, respective teams. Okay, and again we have a different team, so sometimes it becomes silos. This team and this team are not connected together, no connections, no communication. Sometimes it's called silos in between, silos in between. So if my use case is something like this, where I explain to you that I have my dev environment running in Azure, and then something happen, I want to do something GCP in Azure AWS cloud. If all things managed by different team, okay, and they're independent team, so connection between this process will be very hard. That's typically known as a pipeline, end-to-end pipeline. So in my company, so when you build a product, when developer have their own environment, then they go to testing department, QA department, then go to productions. It's called end-to-end pipeline. Okay, end-to-end pipeline. Sometimes it's also on a CI/CD pipeline, kind of integration, kind of deployment or delivery pipeline. Okay, those who by chance doesn't know CI/CD, okay, even though it's just not required, but Terraform has a great use case with CI/CD. So recently, guys, I delivered one CI/CD training free, okay, where I explain you CI/CD from very basic. So those who want to know about those concepts plus some more practical, interesting practical CI/CD, they can go to that. Ask the videos from a team; they will provide to you that videos right freely. Okay, there's a different point, but yeah. So if the plan is multi-cloud, I want multiple cloud to use. Then if it's managed by different team, it's very harder to connect the dots, right? My developer team say my part is done. Now take this code and test on this environment. Then connection with this team, very hard at connection, mailing, and it's very hard about what I'm talking about. I think you understood what in which content I'm talking about, right? So, but if you remove these teams, independent teams, to mature in their independent products for the IAC, infrastructure code, okay, what can you do? You can build one single team instead of these many teams. Let's say team number Z. Okay, and now you just mature this team only in one single product, one single tool, one single service. Like I said, this is a different tool, different service, different product, for example, right? They will mature one tool. And the beauty of this tool is, again, all the facility what I'm looking for, automation, management, sharing, means I am looking for infrastructure code, they will provide to you. But the beautiful thing about this tool is this tool work in all the possible tool or platform available for the infrastructure management. It may be, the way I explained to you, it may be virtualization, it may be container platform, it may be a cloud platform, it may be public cloud, it may be private cloud, all the private cloud, it will be anything related to infrastructure, any platform, on premises, on public, right? Okay, this tool has a capability. Just learning one tool, just expertise in one tool, okay, you can leverage the power of all the cloud. And when again that two with the infrastructure code. Okay, and name of that tool is, guys, Terraform. So here the role of Terraform come in play. I guess can start this tool directly with writing the code. Okay, but I invested 1 hour here extra because knowing the right use case of Terraform is very important, because a lot of guys say, should I use Terraform cloud formation? There's no meaning of comparison. Look like they're same, but in this, if you want to have app is running in Azure, you can't use cloud formation there. If your app you want to run in OpenStack, you can't use cloud formation there. Cloud formation is only vendor specific. Okay, vendor specific means it is only working for AWS. AWS is a vendor, only working for AWS, so it's vendor specific. But if you talk about Terraform, is a vendor neutral. Vendor neutral means any of the vendor, means any of the platform you can use Terraform with. Okay, but if you want this use case, right, or even though you can plan this way, right now your company may be using only AWS, just start working on Terraform, make your team mature in the Terraform, because maybe in the future my company planning for more ROI, return on investment, better cost effective things, better power security. They might use some of the other cloud or on premises. So in the future, anyone want to scale or migrate or go for multi or this kind of cloud facilities, okay, their team is ready to go. You don't have to again invest more time and invest and think much about it. So it's a for the better perspective and the future perspective planning, as a good planning, if perspective, again, having this tool in your company and start practicing this, that is a good practice, I can say, or I can say the good DevOps practice also. Working with Terraform makes more sense. Okay, so I think now you guys understood the power of the Terraform and where to use the Terraform. Okay, that's what I started with Terraform here. And now guys, you can see this website of main Terraform IO's official website. You can see infrastructure of any cloud automation. Now you can understand these taglines. Okay, of on any environment, resources on any environment. Provision means launch, create, change, right? Or deliver as a code. I explained to you